this whole voting situation, though. Former White House press secretary and Fox News contributor Sarah Sanders joins me now. Sarah, it's always great to have you on the program.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Harris.
So you heard David just reporting, David Spunton, also from the president himself a few moments ago. He said, if there is a reason for mail-in, that's okay. I'm wondering, wouldn't a pandemic be a reason?
Look, these are unprecedented times, and certainly there are going to be some unprecedented measures that have to take place in order for people to be able to cast their ballot. At the same time, the president wants to make sure that we're upholding the integrity of the election. We know that there is much more opportunity for fraud when you don't have more checks and balances as you do in an in-person voting, and the president simply wants to make sure we're protecting the integrity of the election. I think it's important, and I think it's a good thing that we're talking about it now. Let's figure it out before we get to November and make sure we have a good system in place that protects the election process and make sure we limit fraud as much as we absolutely can.
And I just want to say to everyone as they're watching, Air Force One now off the ground and in the air, headed to Michigan today, and we'll cover the president's visit there as he visits that Ford plant that's now making ventilators. And you can see the front wheels are, and there they go. So Sarah, I have a question for you, though, just in terms of this being something that we've heard the president talk about, and not just now, but at times throughout his presidency. What evidence is he looking at that says that there is election fraud? What is the real concern here?
Look, we know that there always is election fraud, whether it's mail-in or not, and I think we have to continue to take steps to protect election security. We have to do that on a number of fronts. This was something that the president and the administration worked on a lot during the time that I spent 2.5 years at the White House. Department of Homeland Security take a huge role. We did an entire briefing centered around nothing but election security. This isn't a new topic, but it's an important one. Let's not forget that people came after this president and tried to take the election away from him. They tried to delegitimize his very solid win and say that he wasn't the rightful winner and tried to create this whole illusion of the Russia hoax. There's no question that the president should be focused on making sure nothing like that happens again, that our election security is protected, and that we limit fraud as much as humanly possible. And I think he's right to have this conversation now. Let's figure it out and make sure that it doesn't happen.
Speaking of re-election, the president reportedly is ordering his campaign team to find a way to bring back his mega rallies. Trump allies telling Politico now, Sarah, that the campaign is looking at some regions where modified campaign activities could soon be allowed, and are also concerned the president's current official travel related to the pandemic is too morbid. What do you make of that?
Look, there is no better way for the president to talk about and talk to the American people than getting out there and being able to do that. At the same time, we have to make sure he has the ability to do that safely. I have no doubt that both the White House and the campaign are going to be working in tandem to make sure any events they have will be done at the highest level of safety for anybody that participates. But let's not forget what is at stake here. The future of our country. We have a decision to make, and the contrast could not be more clear. We have someone who has stepped up and shown their ability to lead in a crisis in Donald Trump, or we have somebody that's been hiding in their basement bunker like Joe Biden. And people need to know the difference of what the choice is when it comes November, and we need a way for them to get out there and see these two candidates and see the difference and make sure they make the right choice. And I think ultimately they will, because this contrast is very stark and people need to understand what it looks like.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Joe Biden for a moment there, and no doubt you have seen these numbers. The new Quinnipiac University poll showing that Joe Biden is up 11 points nationally against President Trump. And I know a lot of people will poo-poo polls, but this is one that has such a big widening gap there. And you say with Joe Biden in his basement, he's not even out there. Half of those surveyed still approve of President Trump's handling of the economy, and voters are split on which candidate is better equipped to manage the economy going forward. This, as we're learning, more than 2.4 million additional Americans have filed unemployment last week, bringing the total to nearly 39 million Americans since the coronavirus outbreak. Sarah, I'll just let you react to that, and then I have a follow-up.
Sure. There are a lot of variables that we don't know the answer to right now, but one thing we do know is one of these two people has actually rebuilt the economy before, has actually led our country to economic prosperity, and one hasn't. The one that has should be the one that we want and trust to do it again. I think as we get closer to November and people really feel the heat of making a decision of who is best qualified to lead us out of this crisis and rebuild the economy, is someone who's proven they can do it. And that's Donald Trump. Joe Biden has not proven that he can lead us out of a crisis. I'm not sure he could lead us out of his own house, much less lead the country in a time where we need it most. We've seen Donald Trump deliver that, and I think that when it comes November, we're going to see people push and move to that level of confidence because we know he could get the job done.
Well, you can see from that one poll, voters are split on that idea of who can take us forward. One of the things, though, that will help all of us is if we decide we want to help businesses in our communities. Sarah, I know you and your husband have done just that. You've launched a nonprofit to help Arkansas small business owners struggling during the pandemic. Quickly tell me about that and the kind of success that you'll measure it by.
Absolutely. We saw friends of ours that had started something in Virginia, and it was doing extremely well, of basically Virginians stepping up and helping others in their community. We decided to replicate that program here in Arkansas. We launched on Monday. We've had a tremendous amount of support. This is not a government program. It is quick, easy, and free of red tape. And this is all about Arkansans stepping up and helping Arkansans. We're raising money from the private sector and putting it back into the pockets of small business owners. People can go to Arkansas 30-Day Fund to sign up, to apply, and also to donate. And it's really just about people coming together as a community, uniting about what brings us together and making sure we're taking care of those that we can. And it's just been a remarkable experience and something that we're proud to get to play a little role in here in our home state.
Yeah. Well, great work getting that done. I know people appreciate it. Small businesses are taking such a punch. And I caught what you said, separating it out from government. And how can you tell? Because it's quick, easy, and free of red tape. I wrote that part down.
Absolutely.
Sarah Sanders, thanks so much for doing the program today.